Thank you, Mr. Chairman. General Dunford, your fellow chiefs have told me that they are not aware of any instances of issues with unit cohesion, morale, and discipline as a result of open transgender service. Have you heard of any such incidents?
Senator, thanks. I wouldn't typically hear of individual cases of cohesion or discipline issues, and maybe just a comment on transgender. For me, the issue with transgender has never been about cohesion or discipline anyway. It was just about any individual, regardless of circumstances, being able to meet the physical and mental qualifications of being worldwide deployable. So if an individual is serving without accommodation, then I don't think I'd expect to see discipline or cohesion issues in that unit.
The recommendations on transgender service and the accompanying panel report were released as part of the DOJ's filing on Friday night. Service members found out in the news that the department had submitted a report that cast aspersions on their fitness to serve, implied they could harm the lethality of the force, and left their futures in the military up in air. Do you know whether this has created anxiety among these troops? Have you met with any transgender troops given this report?
I have not since the report was released, Senator.
I recommend that you do so you are more informed. Secretary Mattis, one of the things that struck me about your panel's report was its claim that, quote, unlike past reviews, the panel's analysis was informed by the department's own data and experience obtained since the Carter policy took effect. That's why I've been asking the chiefs about unit cohesion. In fact, General Milley put it, with regard to the Army, as precisely 0 instances of units with less unit cohesion, morale, and discipline. I'm very concerned about this report because it says that there is, quote, scientific uncertainty surrounding the efficacy of transition-related treatments for gender dysphoria, yet the American Medical, Psychological, and Psychiatric Associations have all said the report misrepresents what is the scientific consensus when it comes to gender dysphoria and transition. In fact, despite the report's stated concerns about deployability of transgender service members because of gender dysphoria or associated medical care, a report being issued today by the Palm Center here, which I'm going to give to you so you can read in full, says that, quote, out of 994 service members diagnosed with gender dysphoria in 2016 and the first half of 2017, 40% deployed in support of Operation Enduring Freedom, Operation Iraqi Freedom, or Operation New Dawn, and only 1 had an issue during that deployment. It appears that this report that your department has issued is not based on the department's data or science, but rather, quote, potential risks that the authors cannot back up. And in fact, this seems to me to be the same uninformed and unfounded concerns that led to the opposition of repealing Don't Ask, Don't Tell, integrating women into the military, integrating African Americans into the military. And I think you need to do a lot more work on this topic to inform yourselves.
Well, Senator, I regret that the way you characterize it. I would remind you that when I came into this job, I said I don't come in with a preordained or agenda to change something. I'm in to carry 3 lines of effort forward. One of them was to create a more lethal military. In this case, I was meeting with the service chiefs and the chairman, not as the joint chiefs, as service chiefs last spring, and they were asking me questions because we were coming up on the advent of the induction of transgender. And they want to know how they were going to deal with certain issues about basic training, about deployability. And I said, didn't you get all this when the policy came out, the Carter policy, we call it? They said, no. And I said, well, did you have input? They said, no, they did not. So I convened that panel. That panel was made up of combat veterans, the vice chiefs of the services, and the undersecretaries, and they called together transgender troops. They brought in commanders of transgender troops, and they brought in and listened to civilian and military medical experts who have provided care for transgenders both in the military and outside. And I gave my 44-page advice. I'd like to have it entered, Chairman, for the record.
And a list of all experts you consulted, please.
Pardon?
I would like a list of all the experts, medical experts that were consulted for that report, please.
Right now, this is under litigation. I'll see what I can provide, or when I can provide it, I'll do that, Senator.